What makes Catherine Zeta-Jones such an attractive woman? Everyone, welcome back to LookLogix. Today we'll be assessing Catherine Zeta-Jones's facial attractiveness with faceiq Labs. On the application, she gets a 7.65 out of 10, which is very, very high. This is exceptional harmony, and it's the top 0.3% in the population, about 1 in 313 people. So this is extremely high, and you can see on the chart. These were the best photos I could find for mapping out the landmarks for her side profile and her front. I think the side is perfect for this, almost. And the front did look a little bit distorted. However, this worked pretty well, and I think these scores are quite accurate. So let's go over them and review, starting with the front. So on her front ratios, she has only a few major flaws. 1.44 out of 10, and that's the deviation of IA, which is her ipsilateral alar angle, and JFA, which is the jaw frontal angle. So we can see with this, it's showing us this is just out of proportion, and it's too far out of line. This blue is the ideal. So her range is 15.98 degrees, and the range right here for ideal is 22.21 to 22.32. The next flaw is 1.82 out of 10. It's her mouth width to nose width ratio. And these little flaws are just on the objective harmony values. Sometimes the imperfections of someone's face can make them more attractive. It depends on the person and their phenotype as well. Moving on, her cheekbone height gets a 6.73 out of 10. Slightly out of the ideal range, but I think it still looks really good. And then moving on, the rest are getting really high scores. I mean, look at all these 10s out of 10s in the ideal range. That's really nice. This one's a little farther out of the blue, which is her right eye width to height aspect ratio. You can see. But overall, she has a very attractive face and definitely a top percentile. A big part of what makes Catherine Zeta-Jones's face so attractive is her combination of the positive scores on the ratios, like her lateral canthal tilt, which is really nicely positively tilted and quite balanced. And also her choices in makeup are really clean, and they just look great. Her phenotype is also very clean and simple. You can see her in a lot of earlier movies when she was in her prime in the mid-90s era, I would say. And her eyebrow tilt is also really ideal. Same with her neck width for the woman. And then her chin to philtrum ratio, you can see that's also ideal. This is just a really good face. So you can see how useful this application is, and it's giving you the visual diagrams. This really helps us figure out the score and find the objective answer with all these different ratios and overviews, harmony analysis, pros and cons, strengths, and areas of improvement that we'll go over. So if you'd like to try this app for yourself, you can use the code LookLogix at checkout on faceiqlabs.com. And I'll put a link in the description and the top comment. You'll get 20% off using my code, only with my code. Catherine Zeta-Jones' side profile. She only has a few out of ideal ranges, and they're really not even in the far out of ideal. Most of it is also really high in the score, and this is what gives her side view such a high rating, even higher than her front view. Now, to me, the nasal frontal angle looks pretty good. Besides, when you zoom out, you can see how flat the brow ridge is. Then the brow ridge inclination angle, as well, is only a 5.26 out of 10. And then the submental cervical angle, which is her lowest score for the side profile. However, this may be from the landmarks that I put in. But overall, this is really high in harmony, and I mean, a really near ideal face. Gonial angle is ideal. Gonian to mouth line, you can see. All these are just the measurements to assess her harmony on her face. And you can just tell a nice, sharp, lean face like this is more attractive than some blubber, out of the water blobfish. So lastly, let's look at her key strengths. Let's look at Catherine's top key strengths. She has an ideal maxillary projection. This contributes to a pleasant mid-face projection by indicating that the upper jaw is not overly projected or recessed. This is a 10 out of 10. She also has harmonious facial convexity, ideal jaw width, balanced jaw shape, so a lot around the jaw and then the nose. You can see with the nasal. And looking through here, excellent, balanced upper lip, good eye tilt. And finally, let's look at what Catherine could improve on. So she has overly small eyes, which gets a minus 3.4% harmony. The eyes are too small, creating a less balanced facial appearance. You can just see what it looks like, but honestly, they don't look that small. I mean, I think they look fine. Her disharmonious midface and jaw alignment. The midface and jaw shapes do not align, reducing facial harmony. Wide nose. The nose is too broad, creating an unbalanced facial appearance. Narrow mouth. That could be one. The sunken orbital region is also one. The area around the eyes appears hollow, reducing vibrancy and youthfulness. And remember that the photos I got, I mean, this side profile is her when she was younger, and this one is a little bit out of her prime. So just keep that in mind. But I think this rating is pretty accurate for Catherine. She's definitely in that top 7 to 8 out of 10 range. This is what makes Catherine Zeta-Jones so attractive facially. If you guys would like to rate your own face and see what your harmony analysis is, what your score is at, what you can improve on, and what your key strengths are, you can use the code LookLogix at faceiqlabs.com. I'll put a link in the description and the pinned comment, and I'll see you in the next video.